Okay, today we have the sentencing hearing of Max Riddle. His real name is Maxine. I mean, that's why he goes by Max. He appeared before the bench for a sentencing hearing that marked a pivotal moment in a multi-jurisdictional investigation. Riddle is a former MMA coach and business owner, teaching the same things there, MMA. He was initially taken into custody on April 18th of 2024 after a 14-year-old girl came forward with allegations of sexual abuse dating back to 2020. The gravity of the case shifted significantly following that first report, as more and more reports just kept coming out. More victims were coming forward, which led investigators to file additional charges of sexual contact with minors across two separate counties. You got Bingham and Bonneville counties there in Idaho. The atmosphere in the gallery was pretty heavy as counsel prepared to present their final arguments following Riddle's decision to bypass the trial by entering into, of course, a plea agreement. Under the terms of the deal, Riddle pled guilty to sexual conduct with a minor, which was a move that was intended to resolve the mounting cases against him. And of course, he didn't want to have the victims go up there and testify in open court against him as well. So as the hearing opened, the prosecution highlighted the defendant's position of trust within the athletic community. Like, he's such a nice guy and everything, he does this and that. But of course, the court turned its focus against the psychological impact on the survivors and the long-term implication of Riddle's actions. So we're going to go ahead and jump in now, and, I'm not going to give it away. You can just watch the hearing and find out for yourself.
Case. This is CR 2024-3277, State of Idaho versus Maxine Nathaniel Riddle, who is here today with Counsel Stavinsky, and the state is represented by Mr. Hurlburt. We're calendared for sentencing today, and the court understands that this will proceed. I inquired as to whether there would be any impact statements, and Mr. Hurlburt suggested that there would. And so, Mr. Hurlburt, I'll invite that to take place at this time. Are there any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So let me turn, I appreciate that. I took notes, and I'll certainly have comments associated with what we all just heard. Let me turn to the defendant for just a moment and confirm that you've reviewed the pre-sentence report.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And as you went through that, was there anything that you saw that needed any sort of clarification or correction?
No, Your Honor.
May I rely upon the contents of this report then for sentencing?
Yes.
Are there going to be any witnesses called by the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, just argument?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Then let's turn now back to Mr. Hurlburt to make the state sentencing argument, and then we'll turn to the defense. And then Mr. Riddle, if you're interested, I'll provide you an opportunity to speak as well.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I think the victim put it very well when she said that Mr. Riddle is a predator. His behavior has certainly demonstrated that, especially since there's been more than one victim that has come into his sort of purview and fallen under his influence. Just a couple of things from the pre-sentence investigation report that I'm sure Your Honor has reviewed, but he says, I'm a person that people come to for help, and that's what I do. And that's exactly what he did in these cases, Your Honor. He was a caregiver for the victim in this case and then took advantage of her. And similarly, in the case in Bingham County, was another person that was impressionable, young, and vulnerable, and he took advantage of her as well. There is a note in here that he's been in trouble 3 times in the jail for various things, but mentions that, again, he's not a troublemaker, and he's just trying to help people. So it seems to be more about him than anyone else. During the psychosexual evaluation, I just would like the court to note that he is high risk based on the number of victims, despite the LSI score being only 21. The recommendations, and I know that other defense counsel have had issues with Officer Julie Morrison and her PSIs in the past, But she does mention that Mr. Riddle has a high regard for himself, doesn't seem to have any empathy for his victims at all, talks mostly about himself during the pre-sentence investigation and how he's embarrassed and ashamed, but doesn't express any remorse for what he's done to these victims and how what he's done is going to impact their lives. Talked about how he abused his position, manipulated them to engage in sexual activity. And I know, Your Honor, this is not by any means confirmed, but it does sound like there's the potential for other victims out there that the state doesn't know about. We would ask that you impose the sentence contemplated in the plea agreement of 9 years fixed, followed by, I can't remember what the indeterminate was, 16, I believe, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With restitution to be held open.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, if we could have 90 days in that case. And the plea agreement does contemplate the sentence to run concurrent with Bingham County.
Thank you. And Mr. Stavinsky, as you began, you could share with the court this state of the proceedings in Bingham County.
Judge, so I don't think he's been sentenced on that yet. I think once he's done here, he'll be transported over there to be sentenced.
Very good. Thank you. And I'll now take your sentencing recommendation.
Thank you, Judge. So yeah, so it's October 1st for his Bingham County case. That's set for sentencing.
I'm sorry.
October 1st is set for sentencing. Thank you, Judge. So really, once I was assigned this case, I met with Mr. Riddle. We kind of discussed the elements of the crimes here and the evidentiary issues and looked to everything they had pending. And really, he did want to take responsibility for his actions. And the most effective way to do this was to do a mediation. And I'm glad that Bingham County was able to join in that mediation as well. We did invite Bennett County, but from what I understand, I'm not sure if they're going to file anything. Whatever cases is pending, if it is going to be filed, it will go through the Attorney General's office. So, but we did invite all the stakeholders to the table because Mr. Riddle wanted to resolve all the cases, to not put any of the victims here through any kind of trial. That he wanted to take responsibility. And going into this, all the parties had backlog heads and basically the sentencing objectives. And as outlined in Idaho statute and the two-heel case. And protection of society will be the most important one. And how can we protect society? Well, incarceration is one way, but also all of these objectives are kind of intertwined because with incarceration, you have protection of society, but also with Mr. Riddle taking responsibility, recognizing what he had done was illegal, and there's no excuse for that, and he's not trying to minimize any of that. He fully understands that he has to serve a lengthy sentence, but he will also be undergoing treatment while in custody, and that's to make sure that he is rehabilitated, and that to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. So basically, looking at all the objectives that the Court of Appeals Court outlined in two-heel case and in the Idaho statute, we believe that this sentence kind of addresses all of those objectives, because you also have a serious punishment of 9 years fixed, plus 16 years indeterminate. Now, what does it mean? It means that he may qualify to go before the parole after 9 years while being in custody. It's not an automatic, there's not a guarantee that he's going to be, the parole commission is going to allow him to be released. So really, the total unified sentence is 25 years. Mr. Riddle realizes that he's going to have to work really hard to prove to himself and to the IDOC, to the society, the state, that he's capable of being rehabilitated and that he's not a danger to society. I think this kind of sentence also deters not just Mr. Riddle, but anybody else who's even thinking about doing something like this. That this is taken seriously by the state and by the courts, and that you pay with your freedom if you ever even think of if you do anything like this, and face the courts. Now there's always these interpretations kind of with a PSI. The reality is he is taking responsibility because he pled guilty to the charge. There's nothing more that shows somebody taking responsibility is pleading guilty. The reason maybe why the PSI kind of looks and kind of thinks that he's kind of fixated on himself, well, it's because the PSI process, all the questions are about, pretty much most of the questions are about the defendant. And when defendants are answering questions, they're answering questions about themselves. Doesn't take it from the fact that he is remorseful, doesn't take from the fact that he is, we want to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. He's participated in a psychosexual process. He has been upfront about all of his issues. He's an open book. So I think the sentence as outlined also takes all of these things into the proposed sentence, takes all of these elements and to really, we believe that this is going to serve the objectives of the court, and will also give Mr. Riddle a chance to look forward to eventually hopefully convince the Parole Commission to be released and go back to his family. He has letters of support. He's got friends and family who love him, and there is that. Rehabilitation is only possible if somebody has some kind of hope at the end of the day to be able to show the society that he is rehabilitated. And he's definitely, again, he's definitely, obviously, he's remorseful and takes what's happening here today very seriously. He's been in custody for about 18 months already, and this is significant as well. It's part of the punishment, and he understands that he's going to have to serve the remainder of or whatever the court imposes on him. But we're asking the court to follow this plea agreement and impose a sentence as outlined in our plea agreement. Was 9 fixed, 16 indeterminate. And he is ready, willing, and able, once he goes into custody, to complete any kind of treatment. And going forward, I think with him taking this responsibility to only show that he's capable of being rehabilitated eventually after he serves his punishment. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Hurlbert, do you have any rebuttal comment?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, are you interested in making a statement?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
All right, you may do so.
Excuse me if I stumble or what have you, but I am Max Riddle, the defendant in this case. I would like to ask the court up to harm my cause.
Sir?
Yes.
I just need the recorder and and others in the courtroom to hear you, so you can raise your
little
voice.
louder.
Yeah, just a little
Yeah,
louder.
I will get there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am Max Riddle, the defendant in this case. I would like to talk to the court with a harm my cause. Sorry for the deep impact I've made on your life every day. I apologize for taking advantage of the trust I have with you. I am very sorry for my behavior and my actions. You are not deserving of this. I'm sorry for the pain and suffering you go through each day. I am to blame for all of this. Not in any way am I blaming you or placing responsibility on you. I understand that you could not consent due to being underage. I'm sorry I betrayed the trust of my former employer and the parents of the victims. I understand I need punishment. While I'll be incarcerated and I will take all opportunities and all sex offender treatment I hope the Department of Corrections provides. I believe the right and positive attitude will help me qualify for parole and become a productive person back in society. I know rebuilding trust will take time if it's possible at all. Honorable Judge Watkins, I understand you have an important responsibility to make the best decision you can. Whatever sentence you impose, I'll accept it and continue to be a better person. Thank you for allowing me to speak and concerning my words.
Thank you, sir. Are you fully satisfied with the representation of your counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And counsel, is there any legal reason why the court should not proceed?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well, thank you. I have I guess just a couple of questions. Your counsel referenced family and support, and I'm interested in, is there anyone here in the courtroom?
Yes, my fiance and my daughter in the back.
Okay. Where are they at?
Those
two individuals. And then I watched the victim of this case return to her seat. She's with someone as well. And behind I can't see in the poll, is that the state's victim coordinator?
Yes.
Okay, and then a loved one by your side as well, ma'am?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, well, let me begin this way. I'm going to state the objectives that this court has, and then I'm going to turn my comments to the notes and the impressions that I had in listening to all that have spoken, okay? So, sir, the court has the responsibility of protecting the community. That's the primary objective that this court has, and I want you to know and others that I will not lose sight of that. And there are a number of things that I can rely upon to help me draw a conclusion about protecting the community. The pre-sentence investigation report is one of those. The psychosexual evaluation is another. To the extent that you cooperated, I appreciate that. That's helpful to me, and that will follow you into the department's care. I need to deter you from committing other offenses, and I do that by evaluating this offense and other offenses. I need to punish you for the wrongdoing, which began upon the charge in custody, and this court has interest in rehabilitation, which I'll have comments about in just a moment. So those are the factors that drive the court's decision. They're all important. I want to begin by speaking not just regarding the victim of this case, and I know your name, ma'am. I'm not going to share it to further protect you, but I speak to you directly and want to tell you that this court is moved by your words. You presented them with great poise and great courage. You spoke loudly, and the court heard you. I want you to know that others besides yourself should in fact benefit from your decision to come to court today, take courage, and deliver your remarks. I watched intently to you as you were delivering your message. I looked over at the defendant and wanted to see his reaction to what you were saying. I believe you had an impact, a upon him as well. You spoke of the scars that exist and the battles that you have been fighting. And yet, as you said in your own words, you are still here and still standing. I can't help but think about an iceberg that while you're here displaying many of the difficulties that this offense has had upon you in your life, I accept that there are many things that are unseen that will endure, and in large part those battles will continue. And I hope that you'll obtain the help that you need to heal from this harm. And when you're discouraged and you're suffering from those things that this individual caused you, just remind yourself of your courage in coming to court today and speaking directly in the presence of the offender and doing it in an open courtroom and in the court's presence. Sir, the issues that you have created in this individual include trust, the ability for her to trust in others, male adults, in other relationships. That's disrupted for a significant amount of time and in a significant way. The trauma, the depression, the guilt, all of these things, I want you to pause and consider, because you created this. And the offense was exploitive. It's an aggravating factor and circumstance that you preyed upon an individual who in foster care would have been more vulnerable and in an imbalanced relationship way. And it's an aggravating consideration that the court has. The very, most vulnerable of individuals. It's a tender young age of maturing, and all for your gratification. I'm pleased that you made a statement. I accept that you have demonstrated remorse, and it's one of those experiences for anyone participating in today's proceedings that you're left with just simply a pit in your stomach and a knot in your throat on the deep impact that and harm that this type of offense has upon an individual, and the ripple effect that that has on others and long into the future. I want to temper much of what I would say, however, to return to the victim and give some words of encouragement that there is the hope that this court has that you can find a bright future. And I think today, because of the defendant's plea and your willingness to plead guilty, to stand and raise your hand and say, I did this and I caused this harm, is the beginning step for you and the beginning step for her. And I hope the same occurs in other jurisdictions. You will have a significant amount of time to work on yourself and be a better person. You have work ahead of you, and I hope you see it as work, because what occurred is criminal, it is wrong, it's destructive, and it needs to have a consequence. I recognize that there are points of mitigation, the first being your plea. But sir, there's a great deal of aggravation in this case. I respect the negotiation and the reasons why the parties come to this court jointly, asking for a particular outcome. As you know, I'm not engaged in those conversations, but it's left to the wisdom and the experience of competent counsel who handle these types of matters, and an experienced mediator as well. I will meet the parties partway, but not entirely. And as such, after I've considered the 4 objectives of criminal punishment, this court, upon review of all of the materials, including the prior criminal history, the psychosexual evaluations, I will sentence the defendant on the count that I am responsible for to 9 years fixed, with an indeterminate period of 25 years that results in a unified sentence of 34 years. You'll be into your mid-70s before you are eligible to be free from the kinds of protections that I believe this court must impose upon you. There's a lot of work in between now and then. I hope you are productive in that time. The court will impose a $5,000 compensatory fine and a $15,000 criminal fine. The court will preserve the no contact order through the court's full jurisdiction of the case. Court costs and the Victims Relief Fund will be standard, and the court will hold open a reasonable time, recognizing there will certainly be counseling costs associated with this wrongdoing. Do you have any questions for the court, sir?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Counsel, do you have any for me?
No, Your Honor.
You have the right to appeal this judgment within 42 days. Post-conviction relief expires a year after that, and a Rule 35 in 120 days. So good luck to all. Thank you for those here to support your loved ones. And this court will take a short recess when we return for our next final 2 sentencings.
All rise.
Following the presentation of the case and the defendant's plea, the court handed down a unified sentence of 34 years, consisting of 9 years fixed, followed by 25 years indeterminate. However, as the judge noted during the proceedings, the immediate 9 years that Riddle will spend behind bars is a mere fraction of time compared to the lifelong sentence of trauma that he imposed on these children. The court heard powerful statements describing a shattered sense of safety, leaving little doubt that the sport they once loved has been permanently tainted. For these survivors, the legacy of Riddle's betrayal extends far beyond the prison walls. While he counts his years, they're left to navigate the wreckage of a trust so deeply broken that even the thought of returning to the mats has been rendered impossible.
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
Peel Police have issued a warning and public alert tonight following the arrest of a volunteer camp counselor on child pornography charges. Investigators say a 6-year-old was filmed in a state of undress inside a washroom at MC Day Camp in Port Credit. The allegations date from December of last year to as recently as July. The accused has been identified as 26-year-old Alexander Clark from Mississauga. He faces 4 charges, including making child pornography and voyeurism. Peel Police say the alleged victim told their parents what happened, and that prompted the ongoing investigation.
Our investigators have executed a search warrant at his residence and have found evidence to believe that there may be further victims. So we are appealing to the public, or if they know anyone who may have been a victim, to please contact our investigators.
Peel police say Alexander Clark was in the process of being hired as an officer, but that process has since been terminated. Police say the suspect volunteered at MC Day Camp as far back as June 2018. Anyone with information or concerns can contact Peel Police or Crime Stoppers.
Only on WLWT, a young girl's brave actions sending a man to prison for life.
That's right. The 7-year-old was in the courtroom facing the family friend who raped her last April. And this isn't the first time that she has stood up for herself.
And WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson live right now with the story you'll see only here on WLWT. Powerful too, Karen.
Yeah, good evening, Mike. You know, the man sentenced today admitted to his heinous crimes, that he raped this little girl, recorded it, and then shared those recordings. As he had to come face to face with his young victim, her family has a message for all parents. When a child speaks, no matter how outrageous or horrific the details are, listen to your children and take action if you have to. 27-year-old Tyler Higgins walked into a Warren County courtroom with a 7-year-old glaring at him from the gallery.
And she wanted to be here, so I wasn't going to stop her from being here.
Moments later, Higgins admitted he raped the young girl last April in an undisclosed location in Deerfield Township. Higgins was supposed to be a family friend, and the crimes didn't end there.
On 4 separate instances, he created 4 videos of the sexual assault of the child. And as to counts 12 through 15, that on 4 separate occasions he sent those 4 videos by way of phone text.
The child was brave enough to tell her parents about the sexual assault soon after it happened, and they listened.
Kids, they say a lot of stuff, but you got to listen to what they're saying. They might be talking a lot, but you have to listen to exactly what they're telling you.
The child's words also didn't fall on deaf ears with detectives at the Warren County Sheriff's Office.
They went over everything with her, and I mean, they just listened to her. She told them what happened, and they got on it.
And just days after they posted on social media asking for the public's help locating Higgins, he was arrested. Today,
what is your plea?
Guilty. He pleaded guilty to rape and 8 counts of pandering sexually oriented material involving a child.
I just want to apologize to everybody that I heard in the case. The victim, the victim's parents, my children, my children's mother, my family, you, Your Honor, everybody in this case.
We're just happy he accepted the responsibility. I wouldn't say it makes it easier, but we're just glad he took responsibility for what he did.
And Judge Timothy Teeb sentenced Higgins to life in prison. He also has to register as a Tier 3 child sex offender, and he won't be eligible for parole until he serves at least 25 years. Reporting live in Deerfield Township, Karen Johnson, WLWT News 5.
Karen, I don't think any of us can even imagine what that little girl or her parents are going through. Again, she's only 7 years old. How did she hold up being there today in court?
Yeah, you know, Mike, I have to tell you, she looks like a very, very strong little girl. She watched him as she walked in. You know, she just stared right at him. She does have a very strong support system, her parents, her grandmother, and I was talking to them, and I think by the support that she's receiving from her family and also from the detectives here in Warren County, over time, hopefully she'll be able to get through this.
Tonight, a Chesapeake man was arraigned this morning on 19 charges, including aggravated sexual battery and indecent acts by a child custodian. Robert E. Brewer is suspected of raping and impregnating 2 minors. According to court paperwork, police took him into custody on August 11th. A magistrate denied his bail that same day, citing the nature and the count of the charges. He has a preliminary hearing set for December 5th.
New information today, a Hillsdale County man accused of sexually exploiting children learned how much time he will spend in prison. 35-year-old Ty Steiger from Jonesville is accused of sexually abusing 4 girls starting way back in 2007 until last year. Investigators say last year 2 women reported Steiger groomed and molested them. Steiger was caught but took off to the Philippines before he could be arrested. He was captured there and extradited back to the United States. A judge sentenced Steiger to 50 years in prison.
Under normal circumstances, I think that we all could agree that death is a very sad and devastating occurrence in our lives. Such is the case for only one of the deceased here. This is a picture of David Gene Elliott Jr. he was convicted of abusing 2 children aged 3 and 5, of which the 3-year-old died due to how violent he was. The other, however, I don't believe anyone outside of maybe his mother, if he even has one, would even care to blink an eye to it. Yes, it's the disgusting, sick convict in the picture who met a violent death at the hands of fellow inmates at the Oregon Department of Corrections 2 Rivers Institution. I somehow don't think they even shed a tear for him either.
7 men are behind bars after investigators say they fell for a sex crime ruse where agents posted an online ad posing as a 14-year-old who wanted to meet up for illegal sex acts for money. WDHN's Aaron Dixon with the story.
Jakari Martin, Jasmine Cunningham, Wilmer Ponce Gomez, Brandon Mitchell, Vidal Geis, Pierre Dick, and Jameson Lopez Chanchavac were arrested during Operation Back to School, an operation designed to catch child sex predators, as the agencies have seen an uptick in 14 to 15-year-old juveniles, either victims of illegal sex acts or who are trying to solicit themselves.
This operation was designed to go after the people that solicit that certain age group of people. And it happens in your own backyard. This is evident. This is in the city limits of Dothan.
All 7 men are charged with human trafficking in the first degree, electronic solicitation of a child by computer device, and traveling to meet a child for sex.
And it's quite evident by these 7 arrests that these individuals, knowing that they thought they were coming to meet a 14-year-old for illegal sex acts, chose to do so.
The operation was run last Thursday and Friday in the Circle City. Undercover agents from multiple agencies who specialize in child sex crimes portrayed a 14-year-old girl to perform what investigators are calling a ruse to catch the alleged predators. They posted an ad on a social media platform. They did not specify what platform that may have been. And officials say that during the 2-day operation, they had about 100 people chatting with children who were 14 to 15 years of age. But the 7 behind bars answered their ad of the 14-year-old girl.
The ads were answered with knowledge that they were coming to meet a 14-year-old female. They traveled to meet a 14-year-old female for sex, for money.
If convicted of these crimes, all 7 men could face considerable time behind bars. But a lot of the time, the suspects in these cases plead to a lower sentence. Investigators say that there is case law that is yet to be determined in these type of cases when it involves some sort of ruse. Reporting in Dothan, Aaron Dixon, WDHN News for the Wiregrass.
Well, they tell me this is just an awful situation. Police say that when the dad left for work, that was the last time he heard from his daughter when she texted him saying that somebody was knocking on the door. And what they say, they said that there was no signs of forced entry. Families and police are trying to figure out who killed 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez at the small apartment complex on Main Street in Pasadena. Police say she was sexually assaulted. Carmelo Gonzalez is Maria's dad. Gonzalez told us Maria texted him after he left for work Saturday morning. She said someone was knocking on the door. Family members then went to check on her, but they didn't see or hear anything. Gonzalez finished his shift at work, and when he got home 5 hours later after that initial text, he says he found her dead, hidden under a bed.
The father's alibi checks out.
Police say at this time his alibi checks out and that he is not a suspect. Police told us federal investigators are helping to figure out what happened to Maria. DNA samples have been taken from people who live in the complex, but police said they're running into some roadblocks.
Getting cooperation has been frankly, somewhat of a challenge.
Gonzalez told us Maria's mom was in Guatemala when this happened. He says he doesn't understand how someone could do something this awful. He told us he is not going to rest until he figures out exactly what happened.
We don't know if they're operational.
There were security cameras, but police say it's unclear if they were working at the time. Reporting in Pasadena, Giovanni Ligi, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
We also want to keep Maria's photo up for a moment here. Pasadena police chief says he has a child around her age and he's very concerned there are no arrests. As for those cameras at the complex, police say they may have been damaged in the storm a few months ago, but he says detectives are going through a mountain of digital evidence.
Bars after the Illinois State Police ran an anti-human trafficking operation here in Springfield. Officials, they started that operation to identify people seeking to engage in sexual acts with minors. The operation ended with the arrest of all 8 of these men that you're seeing here. All are charged with indecent solicitation of a child.
We have an update on the story of a Pearland behavioral health technician who's accused of sexually assaulting a child. His former employer has now fired its regional director over how he handled the issue of his arrest. Zachariah Barano is a former behavioral tech at Essential Speech and ABA Therapy Pearland that works with children with autism. He was arrested on a charge of indecency with a minor in a case that does not involve any of the clinic's clients. But the clinic says it fired its regional director for hiding facts, misrepresenting information to owners and staff, and using unauthorized confidentiality agreements with company letterhead to prevent staff from informing families about Barano. The clinic's young clients are undergoing forensic interviews to ensure they were not also victimized by Barano.
On Friday, August 11th, the Stroud Area Regional Police Department said it received information from the Pennsylvania State Police and the FBI regarding the sexual abuse of a child, as well as the production and distribution of child pornography at a residence in Stroud Township. Based on the information received and further investigation, authorities served a search warrant at a residence on Avenue A in Stroud Township. Christopher Horsfield, a 49-year-old, was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including rape of a child, statutory sexual assault, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, and photographing, videotaping, or filming sexual acts. Police say he is charged with 100 counts of possession of child pornography as well. Horsfield was transported to the Monroe County Correctional Facility and arraigned by District Judge Colleen Mancuso. Bail was set at $500,000.
A Richland man has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for producing child exploitation materials. And this is according to a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Washington. The Attorney's Office says 66-year-old Alan Smith from Richland was sentenced yesterday for producing explicit material involving boys in the Philippines. The release says Smith pleaded guilty in September of 2021 and was also ordered to remain under federal supervision for the remainder of his life after serving 25 years. According to today's press release, numerous conversations with other adult men engaged in hands-on abuse of children as young as 8 years old in the Philippines were also discovered. Facebook had reported Smith was distributing child exploitation materials on the social media platform from April 2019 to May of 2020. After those reports, Richland Police and Homeland Security obtained search warrants for Smith's social media accounts and discovered the exploitation materials. The Attorney's Office says through the course of the investigation, several of Smith's victims were identified, located, and interviewed.
In custody accused of sending inappropriate messages to kids at the Nevada County Fair. Deputies say Kenneth Brady Fox, 20 years old, was arrested Sunday after sending obscene messages to teen girls on Instagram, and he's accused of harassing them at the fairgrounds, which was reported by a vigilant vendor. Fox was arrested earlier this year on similar charges and was out of custody on a court-ordered own recognizance release. He's now held on a $100,000 bail.
Tonight, we're learning more about how a registered sex offender in California was caught and arrested for preying on a girl from our community. Port St. Lucie police say the 32-year-old suspect used a seemingly innocent app geared for children to target this child.
CBS 12's department tonight with the warning for parents.
Yeah, police say parents must keep an eye on their child's online activity and talk about the potential dangers. That's what a local family did, and it eventually led to the arrest of this registered sex offender. Almost 3,000 miles away, authorities in California arrested and placed this suspect, Eric Pineda, in the back of their police cruiser. He's in the process of being extradited to St. Lucie County on several felony charges. Detectives in Port St. Lucie worked around the clock to identify this suspect after they say he used a cell phone application to prey on a local girl.
These predators just
distance does not matter to them. They prey on anybody that they can get into contact with.
This all started a week ago. The chief says the family discovered disturbing messages, pictures, and videos on their daughter's phone and called 911. Investigators learned Panita used an avatar game application called Cepedo to target the girl. The 32-year-old also lied about his age to get her number, which police say later led to sex-related text messages, pictures, and videos with the victim over a 2-week period. But it could have been much worse.
Worst case scenarios is they, eventually get to the point where they're going to actually meet up. I mean, kids go missing. Human trafficking is a real thing. So, they think they're talking to another teenager. It turns out they're talking to a 32-year-old sex offender from California. So these kids trust people easily.
He is a registered sex offender and is currently on parole after being released from prison last year for similar lewd and lascivious charges in California.
And so he's right back up to his old habits.
Because of his criminal past, South Florida attorney Greg Goldenfarb says a judge may be less lenient in sentencing if he is convicted.
The fact that he was already defined as a sexual predator is one of those aggravating factors. It's kind of like having your second DUI or your third DUI. The more times you do something, the worse the sentence is going to be because you may not be able to be rehabilitated. This is a guy who obviously can't stop himself.
Luckily, the family was paying close attention to their daughter's online activity, something that could be life-saving.
I'm just thankful this guy's off the streets.
And the suspect faces several charges, including promoting sexual performance of a child. Now, police here say they will continue to track down those who prey on children in our community.
A DeRidder man is jailed tonight accused of raping a 12-year-old girl. DeRidder police say 24-year-old Jarrett DeAndre Allen befriended the girl and had a sexual relationship with her. Tonight, Allen is jailed without bond, charged with first-degree rape.
Pueblo police announced Tuesday that an arrest had been made after a 5-month-long child sexual assault investigation. According to police, Paul Pearson Jr., a 45-year-old, was arrested on August 3rd on several charges, including second-degree kidnapping and sexual assault on a child. In the press release announcing Pearson's arrest, police did not go into detail on their investigation or what led to these charges. They did say, however, that the arrest came after multiple interviews, several search warrants, and collaboration with the Pueblo County Department of Human Services. Pearson is in the Pueblo County Jail on $100,000 bond.
Homeless man charged with killing a 10-year-old girl in Rockford this summer pleads not guilty.
Antonio Monroe was in court this morning with his public defender. He was given a copy of his charges, then entered a plea of not guilty. Monroe is charged with killing Destiny Huggins on 9th Avenue. Police were called to the vacant house when Destiny's 6-year-old sister returned home from playing. She reportedly told her mother a man had choked her and took her sister. Destiny was later found unresponsive. The 44-year-old is also charged with kidnapping and aggravated battery. Monroe is due back in court September 1st.
Behind 2 sex offender violation charges against this man, Randall Brian McDonald. He's the tourism director in Grand Rivers.
Yeah, we filed an open records request with Kentucky State Police to get the citation on those charges out of Lyon County. First, some background on this. We learned after viewers alerted us earlier this month that McDonald's been on the sex offender registry since 2005 after a conviction on 2 counts of sexual abuse, first degree, involving an 8-year-old child. More recently, he faces 3 sex offender registry violations for playgrounds and schools, 1 in Marshall, 2 in Lyon County, both from 2022. He's accused of handing out cotton candy to children. In early August, the Marshall County Sheriff's Department released this citation to us. It outlines the violation allegation at Mike Miller Park in October 2022 during a fall festival. It also mentions a KSP investigation out of Lyon County. We got the citation on those charges from KSP today. It explains that KSP Post 1 got a complaint that McDonald hadn't been compliant with the sex offender registry, that he was associated with his wife's food truck business, Cotton Candy Creations, and had worked with it on 2 different occasions at Lyon County Elementary and Vista Ridge Park in Catawba, both in October of 2022. Well, the trooper who filed the citation wrote, I have obtained eyewitness statements as well as confirmation from both the school board and Catawba Tourism that no letter of approval was issued beforehand. A letter of approval is required for a registered sex offender to be on school or playground grounds. To see all our coverage of this story and to read the citation on
more than $200,000 in stolen gold discovered during a traffic stop in Wyoming County. The suspect also accused of possessing child pornography and is in behind bars tonight. It began when the Wyoming County Deputy Sheriff pulled a vehicle over along Route 28 in the town of Warsaw and found more than $208,000 in gold bars. Investigators say 28-year-old Jaspreet Singh of Queens denied owning the gold and was released pending further investigation. Authorities say they later learned the bars of gold were stolen from a man in Orchard Park who was schemed by a phone call by someone claiming to be a U.S. Marshal, demanding payment in order to avoid arrest. The victim then gave the bars in the rear seat of a vehicle. Also, as part of the investigation, 2 smartphones were investigated, and police say they found multiple videos of child pornography on Singh's cell phone. A warrant was then issued, and he was arrested in New Jersey and brought back to Wyoming County, where he was arraigned and then released under the bail reform law. Immigration and Customs Enforcement did take him into custody on an arrest warrant and detained him. He was detained by Homeland Security.
Allegheny County sheriffs announced the arrest of a man accused of throwing a rock through the glass door of a homeless shelter. According to the sheriff's office, deputies were in front of the courthouse around 10 p.m. on Tuesday night when they heard yelling followed by a sound of breaking glass. One deputy then saw a man throwing a large rock at the glass door of the homeless shelter. He was handcuffed and identified as 50-year-old Willie Jenkins II. They learned that he had no listed home address and was verbally abusive to the deputies as he was taken into custody. Staff at the homeless shelter told the sheriff's office that he became angry after he was told that he would be banned from the shelter for 24 hours due to behavioral issues. Well, digging in a little bit more, we come to find out that old Willie Jenkins here is a convicted sex offender who had been trying to stay out of the radar and not report. Well, it's going to be back to prison for old Willie Jenkins here for a nice lengthy term, and he won't have to worry about any housing issues anymore for a while.
Let's get right to that breaking news this afternoon. A now former Winfield City school teacher and coach facing a charge of a school employee sex act and rape. Jail records show Alexis Rodriguez was arrested. The superintendent saying Rodriguez resigned last month. He was a social studies teacher and a coach. As soon as we get any more information on this story, look for updates here and on the WVTM 13 app.
First, we want to get to that breaking news that we're following at noon. A man hired to oversee Metro Atlanta parks where kids play is actually accused of trying to solicit sex from a minor. Thanks for being with us. I'm Joy Lim in Akron.
And I'm Brooks Baptiste. Brookhaven Parks and Recreation Director Patrick Naley was arrested yesterday during an internet sting operation. Cobb County Police reportedly pretended to be a 14-year-old girl online, and police say Naley went to meet what he thought was the girl during business hours while driving a city-owned vehicle. He has been terminated.
A 26-year-old man facing sex-related crimes after police say he pretended to be a 17-year-old high school student has pleaded not guilty. Lancaster County District Court records say Zachary Shake is charged with sex trafficking of a minor and 2 counts of child enticement with an electronic communication device. Lincoln police believe he spent nearly 2 months posing as a high schooler. According to LPD, Shake enrolled in Northwest High School under the name Zach Hess. He later transferred to Southeast High, where he attended classes for over 50 days. According to court records, in February and March, he allegedly had sexually explicit conversations with 2 students, ages 13 and 14. Court records also show he allegedly asked for and received explicit pictures from one of the victims. Shake's bond is set at 10% of $250,000. His next court hearing is scheduled for next month.
Let's head over to Pelletier in Carteret County. On August 4th of 23, Carteret County deputies arrested DeJordan Daniel Macara, a 28-year-old of Pelletier. Macara was charged following an investigation involving allegations of child sexual assault. Macara was charged with indecent liberties of a child, and he's being held in the Carteret County Jail under a $150,000 bond, and he's already had his first court appearance. Not much else is known about this case, but of course, as I always say, as soon as it does, you'll hear it here first on the Sex Offender Hit List.
A Florence man is locked up accused of inappropriately touching a 5-year-old. Carlos Che is charged with attempting rape and attempted sexual abuse of a child. Court documents reveal it happened at a home over the weekend. He's being held on a $100,000 bond.
At noon, a public defender with the Franklin County Municipal Court is facing charges of child pornography. Grandview Heights police identify the suspect as 39-year-old Stephen Chin. He's facing 2 felony counts of pandering obscenity involving a minor. Police raided Chin's Quay Avenue apartment and say they found images and videos of girls engaged in sex acts. Police say additional criminal charges are pending. They don't believe Chin had any direct contact with any of the children depicted in the images.
A medical professional in Woodstock is facing charges after allegedly sexually assaulting a patient. Deputies say it happened last month at WellStar Cardiac Diagnostics. Detectives with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office says a woman was getting an echosonogram when the sonographer Behen Patel sexually assaulted her. The 39-year-old was charged with sexual assault by a hospital employee with a patient. Patel turned himself in Tuesday afternoon. He was released on a $5,700 bond.
A Two Harbors man is behind bars once again, accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting a child. According to the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, on August 11th, deputies and investigators took Michael Brian Bailey into custody on criminal sexual assault charges. Bailey was brought to the St. Louis County Jail on 4 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. And yes, that's a law term for rape. On August 15th, Bailey was arraigned for those charges in St. Louis County District Court in Duluth. Bail for Bailey was set at $300,000. In 2019, Bailey was convicted of first-degree criminal sexual conduct involving a different victim. However, they let him loose after the first time. How? I don't know, that's beyond me, and quite frankly, it makes me sick. The prosecutors and judges who agree with such lenient sentences need to know that these cockroaches will do it over and over and over again if given the chance.
Courage you can count on.
Chemical castration in the legal system is being proposed by a Cambria County senator. The procedure would be done on repeating male sex offenders as a form of parole. Stoker Wyzork talked to the lawmaker about his plan. Stoker?
Yes, Jen. Senator Wayne Langerholtz says this piece of legislation would not only apply to people who've committed multiple sexual crimes, but also male offenders who are convicted of committing these crimes against children under the age of 13. The bill proposed by Senator Langerholtz would require the qualifying sex offender to be injected with the drug before their release. Richland Township Republican says it will be up to the judge when the person can be taken off the drug, this being when they feel the person will not repeat the offense. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, the possible side effects of these drugs can include osteoporosis, cardiovascular, and metabolism issues. Medical experts say infertility and depression are less likely, but can still result from the drug. Despite this, Senator Langerholtz says 10 states have already allowed the practice of hormonal-reducing drugs.
And I'm sure that this is a starting point. I'm sure there will be lots of opinions on this across both sides of the aisle to see where it's at and to what the end product ultimately resembles. But again, that's the lawmaking process.
Langerholtz also says that some differing opinions on chemical castration include using the 8th Amendment being protection from cruel and unusual punishment. Reporting live in the newsroom, Stoker Wyzorek, 6 News.
Police in Douglas County, they're looking for a man who they say exposed himself to female customers and a young child in a local art supplies and crafts store. They say it happened in the Michael store on Chapel Hill Road in Douglasville on Sunday afternoon. Here's a photo of the suspect, so if you recognize him or have any information, call Douglasville Police.
But first, we want to jump right into some breaking news. McIntosh County deputies have arrested this man, Gary Meadows, for allegedly downloading child sexual abuse material. Meadows mostly worked with elementary-age children as a part-time karate instructor at Advanced Martial Arts in Brunswick. Right now, special agents are asking the public to help identify possible victims in this child sexual exploitation investigation.
A Montevideo man faces charges of molesting a 5-year-old. after being arrested on a Mower County warrant August 12th. Rodolfo Moratoya Lopez, a 41-year-old, was accused of sexually assaulting a 5-year-old Austin girl back in March of 2021. The Mower County Attorney's Office charged Lopez with felony first-degree criminal sexual conduct, includes penetration with a child, first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a child, and second-degree criminal sexual conduct. According to court documents, the Austin police originally questioned Lopez in January of 21 when a woman reported that a child said Lopez had touched her inappropriately. The woman and the child's mother both spoke to the child about the alleged assault and then came to the police with it. Lopez, who also went by the name Manuel Jose Alvarez while living in Austin, denied any inappropriate contact with the child. Of course he did. Austin police told Lopez to avoid any contact with the children, and then he agreed to find another place to live. According to Minnesota court records, the charges were filed March 11th of 21. When Lopez failed to appear in court on the 15th of April, Mower County issued an arrest warrant. And then according to the jail records there, Lopez was taken into jail on August 12th of this year, and he's currently being held with no bond in the Mower County Jail.
The resident of Trenton is being held without bond in the Marion County Jail after sheriff's deputies say he sexually abused a child for years. Deputies arrested 50-year-old Thomas Kaufman on 7 counts of sexual battery, 1 count of molestation. Sheriff's officials say the abuse took place between 2001 and 2009. Victim was 9 when it started. Deputies learned about the allegations while investigating an unrelated case in January.
In crime news, the Concordia Parish Sheriff's Office Cybercrime Unit opened an investigation into a suspect that allegedly started filming illegally in the restroom at multiple Walmart locations. William Fisk's personal cell phone went through a forensic analyst, and it showed he was inside a stall at the Vidalia Walmart filming numerous videos of non-consenting victims in the stall next to him. Videos were also filmed at Walmarts in Natchez, Mississippi and Pineville, Louisiana. The suspect was arrested, and anyone with information is urged to call the number listed on your screen.
Yuga man sentenced to 2 centuries in prison for numerous charges related to child sexual abuse. Indiana State Police say 38-year-old Jeremy Locke appeared in Vermilion Circuit Court Monday and pleaded guilty to all charges. 5 counts of child molestation and possession of child pornography were among the charges that led the judge to sentence Locke to 200 years in prison. His wife Angela has charges that are still pending at this time. Now her next scheduled court appearance for a pretrial conference is in December.
Well, if the look on this guy's face doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. He was wanted for sexual assault of a child, and he was arrested at the Gateway to the Americas International Bridge. Authorities found Rudy Ferrarius IV last Thursday, about 8 years after he was reported missing in 2015. The case occurred August 11th when the U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers inspecting pedestrians referred Gabriel Gonzalez, the 58-year-old U.S. citizen, to secondary inspection. You know, go on over to the side and we're going to double check you kind of thing there. Further biometric verification through law enforcement databases confirmed that Gonzalez had 2 outstanding felony warrants for sexual assault of a child out of Sinton, Texas. Gonzalez was turned over to the Webb County Sheriff's Office to await criminal proceedings. See ya, Chomo.
A Howell man has been arrested accused of possessing child pornography. 39-year-old Thomas Paul Flanders is charged with 3 counts of aggravated possession of child sexually abusive material and 3 counts of using a computer to commit a crime. Michigan State Police say Flanders was arrested after an investigation which began when a tip was received from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He was arraigned in Howell last Friday. If convicted, Flanders faces decades in prison.
A Florence man is locked up accused of inappropriately touching a 5-year-old. Carlos Che is charged with attempting rape and attempted sexual abuse of a child. Court documents reveal it happened at a home over the weekend. He's being held on a $100,000 bond.
Mount Pleasant, a man has received his sentencing for sexual assault of a child. Cornelio Macedo Medrano was originally arrested back in 2021 after he was accused of assaulting a child who was under 5 years old, according to the Mount Pleasant Police Department. Medrano was sentenced to life in prison on Monday.
A corrections officer at the Arizona State Prison Complex, Safford, may soon see the prison bars from the other side after being arrested on child molestation and pornography charges out of Georgia. Cody Dallas Reed, a 24-year-old of Safford, was arrested Tuesday, August 8th regarding a charge of child molestation and a secondary charge of transmission of photography or video depicting nudity or sexually explicit conduct with an adult and a child. The Graham County Sheriff's Office was given the warrant for Reed's arrest. Deputies went to the prison on Tuesday, took Reed into custody, and booked him into the Graham County Adult Detention Facility. As of Monday, August 14th, Reed was being held at the detention facility awaiting extradition to Georgia. Ironically here, Reed once shared a photo on his Facebook profile suggesting death is the only solution to end pedophilia. The image Reed shared showed 2 bullets in a magazine with the words, "Cure for Pedophilia" written across them.
The Muskogee County Sheriff's Office Sex Offender Task Force, along with Columbus Fire Department arson investigators, making an arrest. Jimmy Geddes was wanted for 8 felony warrants.
He is charged with 4 counts of arson and 4 counts of criminal damage to property. He was originally charged with child molestation. Geddes has been transported to the Muskogee County Jail.
An employee at Peoria's Friendship House is accused of having sex with a minor, also believed connected to the nonprofit. Good Tuesday evening. I'm Tyler Lopez.
And I'm Amber Kriska. Thank you for joining us. 22-year-old Jasmine Lehman of Peoria was indicted by a grand jury today for criminal sexual assault. The indictment describes the charge as sex with someone between 13 and 18 years old while in the position of trust, authority, or supervision to the victim.
A source with the Friendship House confirmed Lehman's connection to the organization that offers community services to kids and families. The alleged crime is believed to have happened on July 17th. Lehman was indicted today and is set to be arraigned in court on Thursday. On the Friendship House website, she is described as a parent-mentor coordinator.
We did reach out for comment, but have not heard back.
And staying in crime news, on August 12th, officers with the Ruston Police Department saw a 15-year-old girl wearing her pants on backwards in a vehicle with 22-year-old Kadarius Jackson at a park. Police also discovered the victim's undergarments were on the rear floorboard of the vehicle. According to police, the victim told the police that she and Jackson were kissing and caressing each other. Jackson was placed under arrest and transported to the Lincoln Parish Detention Center, where he allegedly admitted that he and the victim had oral sex.
A safety alert to tell you about. Deputies arrested a school employee accused of sexually abusing a child. You're looking at 31-year-old Maurice Powell. Investigators arrested him at his home yesterday after reports that he molested a 15-year-old girl. According to court records, Powell currently works at Margate Middle School. We reached out to the school district to find out if he is still employed at that school.
A former elementary school teacher in Montreal was sentenced to 8 years in prison on Tuesday for sex crimes involving 5 girls. In March, this is Mr. Blanchette here. I don't know about his first name. The news article doesn't specify it for some reason. But he pled guilty to a total of 8 counts, including sexual interference, possession of child pornography, child luring, and sexual exploitation. He committed the crimes while he worked at 2 different schools in the city's Montreal Nord borough between September of 2017 and May of 22. According to court documents, he used his influence as a teacher and a basketball coach to groom and exploit 5 girls who were in the 5th and 6th grade when they first met him. Quebec Court Judge Melanie Hebert's 38-page decision outlines his crimes in detail. He possessed erotic photos of 2 of the victims and had sexual contact with one of them when she was 16, and had numerous conversations of a sexual nature with 4 more of the 5 victims. The abuse of trust, the duration and frequency of the offenses were among the factors considered for Blanchette's sentence. The judge's ruling also explained how the abuse rocked the lives of his victims and their families. One of the victims told the court that Blanchette had made her feel fearful around men, disgusted with sex, and more prone to be consuming alcohol and drugs.
Denied.
Mr. Fritz.
Hey, Kelly. Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming over.
Nice to see you too. Always happy to help out with Aiden.
1 in 5 children is sexually abused before they turn 18.
Aiden, come say hi to Kelly.
Do you know the signs?
What are you doing?
Learn more about the risks of child sexual abuse at sapria.org.